And welcome back to the Hot Lap. Martin Brundle has come out and pretty much said Lewis Hamilton is past his best. But there are many buts and caveats in his statement. So let's get into the story. This is basically from Sky. F1 on his column, he said Martin Brundle, he believes, and this is the thing we need to take away if you're a Lewis fan, believes Ferrari driver Hamilton has lost his edge, but, and here's the but, as we mentioned, can win a record 8th World Drivers' Championship, and that is extremely significant. So Hamilton still has what it takes to win a record-breaking 8th world title. As we know, Hamilton has been enjoying his first week of work at Ferrari, and the 40-year-old was watched by his family as he completed 30 laps, that's 55 miles, to get used to his new race engineer, for example, as we can see here, Riccardo Adami, and the systems of the Ferrari car. He is unquestionably worth the money already, Brundle told Sky Sports News. He said 2 of the biggest names in the 75-year history of Formula One, some might say the biggest names, Lewis Hamilton dressed all in scarlet, of the prancing horse. An absolutely extraordinary story. It's a story, a gift that will keep us giving. He said this is only Hamilton's 3rd team in Formula One, and he'll want to go there and show that despite just turning 40, he's not over the hill like some people were saying last year. And he will want to show he's made the right decision again. He will go there full of energy, and I think he will. But Hamilton, we can't forget, and Martin Brundle obviously suggested it as well, we can't forget that Lewis was outperformed by his teammate George Russell last year. Yes, he did score more points over the threes, only just though. And he didn't score a podium in the opening 9 races, and that's the first time in his career that's actually happened. And Hamilton, as we know, he lost that 2021 world title, which he probably should have won had the rules been followed, but that's by the by. So there are some big challenges. His teammate Charles Leclerc has been there 7 years effectively and knows exactly where the buttons are, said Brundle. He said Lewis will have to face that, and the fact that Leclerc, I mean, we all know, is incredibly fast. But I have no doubt that if Ferrari have a race-winning car or a championship car, then Lewis can win races and even the championship. And that's what I think we do need to take away. I do agree, Martin Brundle, he makes a good point. His best potentially is behind him. Now, when I say his best, for example, to the nearest maybe 10th and a half, yeah. So Hamilton ended what we know a 56 winless streak with that legendary win at the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. There was little success over the rest of the season, but he showed glimpses. If you remember, Las Vegas, whoops-a-daisy in qualifying, but amazing in the race. He said, let's imagine Silverstone last year when he had a chance to win the British Grand Prix, Brundle said. He won it. He won in Spa, and that was a little bit lucky because George got disqualified. Lewis was extraordinary all through practice in Las Vegas, and then fluffed it in qualifying, something he didn't used to do much. And then he was extraordinary in the race. He said, I think the speed is there. Do I think the best of Lewis Hamilton is ahead or behind him? I think it's behind him. And I really think even the most die-hard Lewis fan might say, maybe he has a point. But he carried on saying, I think he's lost an edge with age, as you do. Sometimes he gets his scuffles that he used to emerge out of, but he doesn't now. Or he'll make a mistake in qualifying. I think 96 to 97% of Lewis Hamilton in a winning car is still good enough. He's still got the experience, he says, and his energy and enthusiasm will be, and this is something we've been saying as well, will be re-energised by this whole experience. He will not be overwhelmed driving a Ferrari, like so many drivers have. This guy's a 7-time world champion, for example. And let's not forget, despite not being a Ferrari driver, the Italian fans known as the Tifosi adore him. They cheered him even when he was winning in a Mercedes. And I completely agree. So I think Martin Brundle makes a very valid and sensible point. As with all things, Marko, obviously Max Verstappen's, cheerleader, let's not forget that. Lewis Hamilton no longer a threat as Marko delivers Verstappen rivalry return. I don't kind of agree with that, but it's Marko, the ambassador of honesty and integrity. So, new Ferrari driver Lewis Hamilton is unlikely to beat Max Verstappen to the World Championship, even if the Red Bull proves to be a medical car. Marko, this is the claim of Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko, who doubts Hamilton can keep up with Verstappen over the course of a full season or even with a faster car. Hamilton made his first public appearance, as we know, but let's get into the quote. He only won 2 victories last year, which we know, but Marko believes Hamilton could no longer be considered a threat to Verstappen in the race for the World Championship, questioning whether the veteran can still match the Red Bull driver for an entire season. I think he can, given the right car, and he is also prepared to discard Hamilton's teammate Charles Leclerc from the title race, arguing that the Monegasque makes too many mistakes. Yes, with no drivers standing out as a danger to Verstappen. Verstappen makes mistakes as well in the racecraft, but clearly, he's not gonna mention that, is he? Marko told German publication Sport Bild the 2 race teams, McLaren and Ferrari, had the best base for their cars last season, and we were able to perform well on most circuits. He went on saying they can build on that, but none of the drivers stand out for me. Charles Leclerc is good in qualifying, but makes a lot of mistakes in the races. Yeah, he does. And Lewis Hamilton still has the speed, but can he keep that up for a whole season? I think he can. I have my doubts about that. Even if he has a good Ferrari and we have a medical Red Bull for Max, I would put my money on Max. Well, let's be honest, they had more than a medical car. I would consider a medical car. What, is that like not a top 3 car? And Verstappen didn't win as many races. So, depending what he means by a medical, not the fastest car, yes, a good driver can still make the difference. Verstappen can make the difference. Hamilton can make the difference. Marko went on to hail Verstappen as the most complete driver in modern F1, claiming he can extract more for his machinery than his closest competitors. The problem is these statements are very, very subjective, aren't they? Verstappen suffered his longest winless streak for 4 years in 2024, going 10 races without a win between June and November. That's when he had the medical car and he couldn't win. Yeah, he still managed to secure 4th consecutive world championcy off McLaren driver Lando Norris by a final margin of 63 points. He did. He was the best driver of the year in 2024. It saw Verstappen become only the 2nd F1 driver after Red Bull icon Vettel to win his first 4 titles in consecutive years. Very good. Once again, down to the car as well as the driver. That's a fair thing to say. Marko said Max is not only the fastest, but the best in Formula 1 for the overall package. I think there's a very good argument there. The caveat being, as I've always said, the races. In the races, there is a question mark. I'm sorry, but there is. When he's racing someone, he is very aggressive, and it's got to the point where now the stewards now are quite happy to give him a penalty, and it's kind of like shooting yourself in the foot at this stage. And that's one thing I kind of hope from 2021 that Max has learned, and he kind of needs to rein it back a bit. And once he's done that, I think it could be in a bit of trouble. Because, as we know, he's very good. He says now it's up to us to build him a car that lets him not only temporarily, but constantly drive for victories. Fair enough. I don't quite kind of agree. I think Lewis is good enough to win in the car, like Martin Brundle said. Is Max the most complete driver? I think he's one of the most complete drivers in Formula 1 at the moment. But you've got an up-and-coming Lando Norris, for example. We don't know how good George Russell will be in a fully souped-up Mercedes car. And then you have Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. But these are big questions, I think, that are going to be answered this year, which is very exciting. If you made it to the end, though, which is this, give us a subscribe. If you have already been subscribed, but you want to help a bit more, you just by clicking this is more than enough. But if you want to do a bit more, give us a like. And stay safe. Thank you very much. And speak to you soon. I always press the wrong one. Now, let's try the outro now.